Hi, I'm Aidan and this is AOL Languages. Now, I was in Leipzig on Friday and I did a city tour there for my students of German. So I thought I'd like to do a city tour of Manchester for my students of English. And I'm experimenting with new formats and new ideas at the moment, including a more spontaneous style of video making. So I've decided to combine a few things into one video. So we have the tour of a few places in Manchester, which I'd like to show you. But also, I'm going to also include a little English lesson with 7 words. How many of these words do you know? I'm going to give a description and see if you can guess what the word is, and there are 7 of them. I'll also give some tips on language learning, which I've been using. This particular thing I've been using a lot during my trip to Germany, and I'm going to be using it more here as well for producing my multilingual videos. This behind me is Piccadilly Station. Piccadilly Station is the main station in Manchester. They'd call it the Hauptbahnhof in German. And it was opened in the 1840s. I think it was 1844. And it's been in continuous use since then. And this is the station you'll take to get to London. London is just over 2 hours by train from here. We're now inside Piccadilly Station, looking down at the area where all the passengers come through. The front entrance is behind me, and the trains and the platforms are straight ahead. But what is the name we use for this area? It begins with C. This is what we call Minshull Street Crown Court, or the official name, the Crown Court's at Minshull Street. Quite a few people, including famous people, have been tried here, have gone through their trial and have been sent down. That means found guilty, sent down to the cells to be taken away to the prison. There's another new phrase for you. So this is the other side of the Crown Courts. It's the original building dating from the Victorian period, and it has Florentine influences, influenced by Florence, the architecture of Florence in Italy. So the architecture of Manchester has many influences from around Europe and the world, just like the English language. And this magnificent tower, we can see that the time is 11:15. 11:15. Now the next mystery word I'm going to ask you about is, well, it's an architectural word, and you'll see the windows. I like 2 windows together, and then there's a section in the middle dividing the 2. What is the name for that vertical element in the middle of the pair of windows? You can see lots and lots of them. What is the name of it? It's an architectural word, but it's often used in the general language. Do you know? I'll tell you later. Okay, let's continue. We are in Chinatown, and one of the great things about Manchester is the influence of different cultures and the languages as well, from all over the world. And here we can see the Chinese, what do we call it? The Chinese, okay, that's the next mystery word. It has 4 letters. Yeah, the Chinese, whatever it is, was made actually in China and shipped over to Manchester and assembled here. And it was built in 1984. So that's it. So what is the word? What do we call it? There's one in London and San Francisco and other cities. We are in St. Peter's Square, or close to it anyway. This is a war memorial dedicated to those killed in the wars. But what is it called? What do we call this? There's one in London as well. And the name begins with a C. Do you know what it is? Yes, so again we have a mixture of old and new. The War Memorial, which was actually moved from another part of the square to make way for the new tram lines when they built a second line through the centre of Manchester. And just behind it, a newer building. Oh yes, we can hear a siren. Yeah, always, the police always kept busy. Emergency services, there's always something happening here. It's an ambulance. We are outside another of Manchester's interesting facades from the Victorian era. This one is called Massey Chambers. There are lots of these facades around, and they are really part of the fabric of the city. They really add to its historic character. But the interesting thing about this one is that there is a strange face, because there are lots of faces on the facades of buildings. You'll also find that buildings all over the world. But this one is a little bit unusual because it's the face of a woman. Can you see it there? Let me just use an old photograph with a close-up. And her face is covered. But what's it covered with? What's the word for the thing that covers her face? And that also gives the name of the statue. So what is it? Has 4 letters. This is Albert Square, and that is the town hall. But the town hall is currently undergoing renovation. I say currently, it's been going under renovation for the last few years. And that's the bell of the Catholic Church, St. Mary's, the Hidden Gem. Our next mystery word, it's another architectural word actually, and it refers to that structure we can see at the top of the tower. I'll just use one of my archive photos to give a close-up. And it seems to lean up against the clock tower to support it. But what's it called? It begins with B. Yes, this is a visualization of how the town hall and the square will look after the renovation. Manchester has an extensive tram system, biggest in the UK. But what is the word for these movable rails that allow the trams to switch from one track to another? Yes, this is St. Peter's Square. St. Peter's Square in the centre of Manchester. Named after the church that once stood here, was demolished in 1908. A little bit windy today. I'm going to get a better quality microphone rather than just the iPhone microphone for my next video. But now let's find out the meanings of the words. These movable rails are called points. They are the points. So what's the architectural feature at the top of the Town Hall clock tower? This one here, it is a buttress. And this is actually called a flying buttress. So what is the lady wearing? It's a veil, V-E-I-L, veil. Schleier in German, voile in French, bello in Spanish, and I think it's Schleier in Dutch. So what's my language learning tip? Well, I've been using it for this video and for others, and that is to use Google Translate or another translator to find out the meanings of words and phrases. Just use it on your phone, and if a phrase comes into your head or a word that you don't know, just look it up. And good to put it into a phrase as well, or a whole sentence. That helps you to remember it. I do that all the time. I'm constantly expanding my vocabulary in several languages by simply looking them up. I mean, I can't carry my old school dictionary that I had around with me all the time, but I can carry my phone, and it's so useful and a great way to increase your vocabulary, as well as watching my videos, of course. And this type of war memorial is called a cenotaph. This is the Cenotaph in London. So what's it called? It's called the Chinese Arch. The Chinese Arch. And what's the name of this architectural feature here? It's a mullion. M-U-L-L-I-O-N, mullion. And this is the concourse. So we're back at Piccadilly Station. That's the end of our little city tour with word quiz included. And I think I'm going to invest in a microphone for when I'm out and about. But for now, I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you soon. So thank you very much, and goodbye from Manchester.